Thank you very much, Antoine. And you know what? I was thinking just this morning, I mean, we are here in the beautiful waterworks somewhere here in Austria. So that means this waterwork is for around 650 to 800 people. The fresh water is distributed to this amount of people. And we give the responsibility to someone. I don't want to blame this person personally, but we give it to someone who has a 2-day training. So the most important stuff we need, water, we need it everywhere. It's the most important one. We need it for our daily life. We give it to someone who has a 2-day training. If you have this kind of communication with these people, they are responsible in this village here for each and everything, for the roads, for gardening, for the graveyards, for everything. And the water, the fresh water. They are responsible that the people, the 650 people, they have fresh water every day. And I give you an example. If I want to have a sailing license, I need a medical check, I need a lot of money, I need a lot of time, I have to go to a training course which takes days, theoretically and practically on board, for a sailing license. But our most important material we need for our daily life, we are give to people. And that is what I don't understand. I started my career years ago, you would say ages.
Hey, that's cheating! You can't do that!
But years ago, exactly selling chemicals to waterworks and for waterworks. I have been to, many places like this. We have the basins where we store all the fresh water and things like that. And at this time it was, my job, the chemicals for cleaning, for disinfection, things like that. And we emptied a couple of times the basins. We found wine bottles, we found sludge, we found all kind of dirt and these kind of things. Because exactly of that, these small waterworks, we give it to people without having the education. So again, I don't want to blame the person who's responsible for that here. But even this person has no one to talk to. Because in this village, who's the next person? It's a mayor. And this mayor, sorry, but most probably he has no clue about water. Why are we doing that? I don't get it. I have never understood that. Yes, for sure, it's just a small waterwork, just 650 people. But what if something goes wrong? And that is exactly the point. I don't understand why we don't train our, operators. Even if they are very, very small, we don't train them enough that they are at least better educated.
I get your point. I see where you're coming from. If we had that discussion 20 or 30 years ago, maybe I would have agreed with you.
Okay.
But in the age of digitization, process automation, smart devices, smart process, do you really need to be that trained? I find it pretty cool that the guy is trained at all.
Okay.
Because you could imagine that those devices are clever enough so that if something really weird happened, you would see it by the output analysis, which is probably online monitoring, and which will tell you if anything is bad. We're in Austria, we're not in the middle of nowhere, so I guess there must be some smart watching over what they produce.
Is that really the case? Still today, all the waterworks, hopefully they get at least an alert or whatever on their mobile. But that's it. Maybe they can control or they can monitor a little bit of the quality. But that's it. We are still in the phase that we are not as smart as we all think. I know where you're coming from, that we have all these cool startups. We have a lot of, cool technology you can
not only startups at that stage.
Yeah, sure. But they are not as much implemented because
that's a different problem.
Because this person who's responsible was a 2-day training. He should decide whether he goes for online monitoring, whether he goes for a very next cool a process.
He's the one deciding. He's the one operating. He's not the one deciding.
Well, but then we are back to the problem. Who's next to the operator as a mayor? Both have to decide whether they spend the next 5,000, 10,000.
We're in Austria. Most probably there's a consulting engineer which is looking over that and which is giving an advice every no and while.
Okay, I have a consulting engineer and I will consult exactly the technology which I get paid for. Come on, you know exactly the game, how it works.
Oh, you're thinking that consultants are not objective. So
not
all the consultants watching that, you heard him. You can go in the comments and tell him how bad it is.
What is it?
Oh, that was
I think that's the no. That is a sidetrack here. You're putting me on. Which is fair. I think we should have a discussion about tenders one day and how we influence tenders.
That's
right?
a good one.
But the other thing is really, again, yes, sure, you have the consultant, and the consultant he can help you. But the decision maker, who's the decision maker, is the operator and the mayor here in that village.
Okay.
And they have to decide about things they don't understand.
Let's break it down because it's just behind us. What's the process here?
What is the process here? We have iron manganese removal, we have activated carbon, and then we have UV disinfectant. That's it. It's so much.
We agree. It's not that complex.
It is not that complex, but at least you are serving 650 to 800 people. So if something goes wrong, you are treating 650 to 800 people in a bad way.
Yeah.
So, and that is the point.
I get your point, and you're probably right on the operation side. My question is more, do you need to train the operator more? And then, I mean, we all know that we had that discussion about the silver wave in our industry, which means that it might not be that easy to find an operator and to train him. And then if he finds something better, he might move on and then so far and so on. And you also mentioned the guy here is really in charge of everything in the village. So I get why you would like to have an engineer in every plant, but that sounds really 90s to me. My question is, how is quality monitored here? Because that would be like the safeguard.
Quality is monitored as for each and every other drinking water plant. So they have the regulations 2 times a year. They have to take a sample, they send it to the lab, and the lab is saying, yeah.
So that's the point.
No.
So that's the point.
No, not at all. Not at all. Yet that's safety. But let's say 2 times of the year. Really? 2 times of the year?
That's the point. But if you does not the operator, the problem is 2 times in the year to watch if the result is good.
Yeah, but I mean that is a fair point. But shouldn't we let's say operate a plan 2023 in a way which is made for 2023 and not as we did it 50 years ago, even 50 years ago? Come on. I mean, the water work was not as nice as today. It was the same. We had just one operator who was responsible for everything here in this village, and he was also responsible.
Yeah,
but why he is never able to take all the new things we have, and I know where you're coming from smart metering, for instance, things like that, to implement that, because where should he get the knowledge from? And that is the point.
Yeah, but
so there are 2 ways to solve that. Sorry to interrupt you.
#sorry not sorry.
Either you train these people, and you have an engineer, I think, or you consolidate.
Okay,
what will be the other?
The two are wrong. First, you train the guy, okay? Now he's fully trained. Let's say you take the guy, you take him through engineering lessons, and really, he's a water engineer now. Can he decide to put smart monitoring everywhere? Can he decide to? He can't. He's not the one holding the budget. He's not the one taking that decision. So we train him.
Why not? Why not?
Because you've been in the water industry. Come on, Björn. You do know that you're a water engineer. I'm a water engineer. When you were operating a plant, did you decide on investing on the network? Not really. You might be proposing, and then the mayor was saying, yeah, but by the way, you know, we could be doing a new playground for the children of the village. So we prefer doing that than working on something which so far is working.
So what's wrong? You're saying the mayor is wrong?
No, I'm just saying that training the guy doesn't solve the thing alone. And the other thing, consolidating, for what? For what would you consolidate?
Well,
this is perfect. You're a small village.
Consolidating that you have the knowledge here. That you have the knowledge. So that you can say, okay.
We are back to that discussion. It's not about consolidating, which I think you're misusing here. It's about distributed, which means the asset stays decentralized and small size and catered to the village. But maybe you want to share with the 3, 4, 5 neighbor village to have one engineer looking after these 5 different plants.
For us.
And then I'm with you. But if you say we should have one big plant and put a lot of pipes in between.
No.
By the way, that's perfect idea. I'm selling pipes and I love that idea.
That's not what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I would love to have someone responsible. He know exactly everything about water and who can take a decision and who can ensure that the water I drink in the hotel this morning is 100% safe.
Okay,
that's all I want.
But that means the problem is different because you're starting with a fair point, which is to say 2 days of training to operate something which is on the line.
Most important
might be dangerous.
We are.
I get you. But the biggest thing isn't that people are trained, is that they get listened to.
Are you listening to anything I'm saying?
Let's imagine you have now an engineer looking at that plant and he says maybe the monitoring twice a year isn't the perfect solution, or maybe we have a problem with the backwashing which is not done exactly when it should, or I don't know.
Or we can save energy.
What happens? What's the next step? If he says, I propose to do better, will it be done better? I'm not sure.
Yeah, but
because that guy doesn't have any power.
But then we are back to the discussion that we are saying, okay, it is all about the politicians. And the politician is looking, just as in France, for instance, to the next election.
Cheap shots.
I know, but is that exactly the phase? I mean, you can invest now the money into the waterwork, or you can ensure that the quality is right, or you ensure that you get re-elected in the next 4 years.
It's not necessarily about the politicians. It's about the governance of water. If we have that principles of water pays for water, that means water should be independent. And I'm pretty sure here in Austria that water doesn't come for super cheap. Probably water covers its cost. So water should be decided with its budget by the people in charge of water, which understand water.
Yeah.
The problem is, as soon as you have a master of everything, what's the saying? Knower of everything, master of none, something like that.
That's okay.
Almost right. Almost.
Let's say I quit my job.
I would not hire you.
I come
for
here
sure. No, I would.
and I start operating that plant. Will they listen more to me? No.
The point is not listen to you. The point is to have someone dedicated to ensure the water is always right. And we should put more effort into the education, into the quality of the person who's in charge of that. The same as we do for a driving license, the same as we do for my sailing example, but we don't do. And that is a misbalance.
That brings us back to a sales concept, which is something I learned the hard way. If you go to a customer or a lead and you start by saying, my solution is awesome, my solution is the best, and here's why my solution is the best. Advantage, 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 advantage. Will your customer buy?
Does or not?
Why not?
Because it's, not from the perspective from the customer.
Because you're not speaking about the problem.
Exactly.
And if you do the exact opposite and you say, that's the problem, that's the risk. Here, that could be the consequences, and this might happen, and this might happen. You don't even need to speak about your solution. They might buy. Where I'm heading with that is that driving license, everybody gets the risk. Everybody gets that if my 8-year-old daughter takes my car and goes on the street, it's gonna be a mess, and people will be at best injured, and if not, there will be some dead cats at least. You understand why you need a driving license. The problem is that we are here in one of the most developed countries in Europe. Probably nobody remembers that you might be opening your tap and not having good quality water. So what's the risk? It's working. Why would you disrupt something which is working?
Isn't exactly that the issue?
That's the issue.
So who should solve that? So I think we are a little bit back into a discussion I think we had some months ago.
You have two ways to solve that. The first is to wait for a disaster, and so everybody realizes that there's a disaster, and then we do something about it. Or
this is the same as a flood management. We had also the discussion last summer.
Yeah.
Right? But let's say after a while, nobody's talking anymore. And let's say the money is not going to flood prevention, it's going to something more cool that I get re-elected. It's the same here.
I think
nothing goes wrong as soon as the fire department has not go through the village to tell the people, hey, you have to boil your water.
But I think the problem isn't even money or decision making. It's even before that. The problem is data. This plant might be perfectly running, and there might be absolutely nothing which you could be doing better than what they do. But I would suggest that most probably we don't know. And if you were starting by collecting the data, then you would know if maybe that plant doesn't need to be touched for 10 years. So then you don't need to invest and you're saving money, but at least you know why you're saving money. You need to start by collecting information. And that's the step which most of the time we're missing.
Okay, so I think we have a lot of issues here, right? Collecting data, training the people, having the engineers.
But even before training the people, even all of that, maybe this is perfectly working. Most probably this is perfectly working.
Okay, take the example. Even if you gather all the information, all the data, and you know exactly each activated carbon piece, how it works and how is it saturated or not. Who is talking? Who is taking the information and is taking the decision for the next level? Must be someone with more than a 2-day training, right?
Yes and no. We are back to a discussion we had, I think, in November last year, because...
What was the discussion there?
On one end, you could be having a value for BOD, a value for total coliform, a value for suspended solids, or you could be having like a green light. Red, stop it. Orange, take attention. Green, all fine. And then you don't even need 2 days of training.
Yeah, but then I don't need an engineering course.
Yeah.
So then even you can operate it.
Yeah. Low blow.
No, that was easy.
You see what I mean?
But that is more for the consumer.
No, it could be here as well. It takes me back, to my engineering school. When I was in engineering school, we were told some stuff like very theoretic. How do you do an hydraulic calculation? How do you do a pipe calculation? And we were even told how to draw with a pencil and a white sheet of paper, which you would argue you don't need. And our teachers were telling us, you will not need that. But we are still teaching it to you because there will be softwares to help you. There will be a lot of stuff to help you. But you need to understand,
exactly,
just in case.
Exactly. And so, can the 2-day operator, can he understand?
Cannot understand.
if the EPC who built everything here, if the supplier, the tech supplier who has equipped something here is coming to you and is talking on a level saying, you need this, we need that, we need to do this, we need to do that. Can he understand everything and can he take the decision? I mean, he has to take that and he has to go to the mayor and say, well, that's what the guy wants to do and this is the budget I need. Let's do it. And then the mayor, I don't understand that, I don't invest that. And isn't that exactly the issue we have, especially here in mainland Europe, where we have these thousands of waterworks, these especially the small works?
I would say it's the opposite. It's you have people which are on the ground and which know what they have to know on the ground. And you don't need to overload them with information which doesn't bring them much.
I don't want to overload them, but on the one hand, you're saying we need to gather all the information, and that is a critical issue. But if you have all the information, you need someone who understands.
Yeah. On a distributed level, you will never have an engineer operating a plant for 600 people.
Fully agree. But
Okay.
we should give him more than just a 2-day training, because this is the most important elixir we all need. I think we can agree on that.
Not really, but
You are saying this is not the most important elixir in the world. Have you heard this? Unbelievable, isn't it?
no, I agree that that water is important and you know exactly what I mean. I don't agree that we can agree that we need more than 2 days of training. 2 days of training can be fine and 2 years of training can be fine. It's a matter of how do you incentivize the people working in such a plant to do the right thing. And
How's he incentivized? Come on, he's incentivized in the way, hey, nothing can go wrong. Ensure that water is all fine, that the water work, that we don't spend any money on that.
I think
that's the incentive.
that's not the best incentive.
But it is exactly.
The best incentive is most probably he's living in that village. Most probably he takes care of the fact that he receives good water, his neighbors receive good water, and that is
Nobody's finger
stronger
pointing to him.
And that is much better than any kind of training because that means what you're doing in your job has a meaning. And that is true for all of us. When what you do has a meaning, you do it much better. And that is the connection you have when you have such a distributed asset, when that plant is producing water for the people around. It's not something which is in the middle of a city and distributing water for 2 million people. And then it's, yeah, someone might be ill. Like I care, I will never meet that person.
Yeah.
But here, this village is taking care of this village. And they should get some support from data. And that can come for cheap and very easily. So it's about tapping into that. It's not about training the people.
What I would love to see is that we have at least this operator, and then we have a kind of organization above that who is supporting them, who's helping them in a way that he can do his job in the best way, and that he can take all the information and say, Mayor, listen, 1, 2, 3, third. But these are the items we have to take action on.
Mr. Björn, who believes in governments, isn't that the role of governments?
I don't know whether this is the rule of governments. Someone has to take the decision. I'm not sure. I can't.
Interesting.
I don't-
I'm starting to convert you on my side, which is don't await everything from the government. So see, every month you get closer to the truth. You see the light?
Okay, but I think
Walk towards the light.
But I think we agree that is the most important elixir, and at least we should, treat it in a way that it is the most important elixir.
Okay, we agree.